Hello all, welcome back to Time to Dice Character Creation, where we make your favorite fictional characters in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Today, we're finishing up our Disney Snipper coverage with the second community-picked video, Ghost Rider. This episode will focus mostly on the most well-known Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze, though with a few tweaks, this build can work for any of the Ghost Riders across the multiverse. Johnny Blaze was a daredevil stunt driver who struck a fateful bargain with Marvel's devil, Mephisto, to save his adopted father's life. Predictably, the deal went south, leaving Johnny to deal with a dead father and a new job as Mephisto's enforcer. Now cursed to punish evil souls while battling his own dark urges, Johnny rides the line between vengeance and redemption. So beware of spoilers, and without further ado, let's get started. So what do we need to make the Brimstone Biker? Well, first off, we need to make a deal with the devil and get all the powers that come with it. In Johnny's case, this means your typical Marvel superhero kit of super strength, super durability, and super reflexes, but it also means we can call down Hellfire to smite our foes. Next, we need to replicate the penance there, converting our enemy's sins into a potent weapon we can use against them. And finally, we need the rider part of Ghost Rider, with a hell-powered bike or any other mount we choose, from a Dodge Charger to a woolly mammoth. For our ancestry, we're going to go human. While Johnny Blaze might seem like a great fit for a skeleton build, he's only skeletal during his Ghost Rider transformation, and even then he doesn't get any of the other benefits that usually come along with being undead. As a human, we get 8 hit points and a 25-foot movement speed, and a boost to strength and charisma. Key stats are fiery vengeance. For our heritage, however, we will change it up a bit. We'll take the Nephilim heritage to get just a touch of infernal influence onto the build. For now, this just gets us low light vision, but we'll pick up some other feats later on to make sure we truly feel at home as a Denzian of Hell. We'll pick up the driver background to represent Johnny's daredevil stunts and mastery behind the wheel. This background grants us another boost to strength and to constitution, as well as training in acrobatics and driving lore skills. And the assurance skill feat for driving lore ensures smooth handling even in the most hellish conditions. For our class, we're going to take something new. The cleric is a fitting choice for someone whose powers come from a divine being. However, since Johnny Blaze's power set leans more heavily to the martial prowess, which he augments with his more magical abilities, we're going to go with the Battle Harbinger archetype, found in Lost Omen's Divine Mysteries. This archetype shifts to cleric's balance, trading some of the more magical focus for martial might. As a Battle Harbinger, we get 8 hit points per level, training in perception and reflex, and expert proficiency in will and fortitude saves. We gain training in religion, plus 1 skill tied to our deity, along with 2 more skills of our choice based off of our intelligence modifier. This archetype also upgrades our weapon proficiency in all simple and martial weapons, and grants us armor training in up to medium armor, giving us the tools to fight with divine fury. For our attributes, you're going to need to hold on, because this build might get a little mad. We get a +3 in strength, so that we can effectively wreak havoc on the battlefield, a +1 to dex, because being a stunt driver doesn't require quite as much acrobatics training as other forms of daredevils, but we still need it for keeping away from attacks. Constitution is at a +2, not quite getting us to invulnerable levels, but getting us a bit of added durability. Intelligence is at a +0. While not shown to be dumb, intelligence is just the only attribute we don't need for this build. Wisdom is at a +1. Making a deal with the devil isn't wise by any means, but we can't forsake that entirely as we need it for our spell DCs. And finally, charisma is at a +2. Johnny's a master of making his fans love him and his enemies fear him. By the end of this build, Johnny will wind up legendary in 2 skills. Intimidation, because when you're the king of hell, being a little bit spooky is part of the job description. And driving lore, because, well, rider is literally part of the name. We also end up mastering athletics, because we're a Marvel superhero. An expert in performance for putting on a good show, and religion for our experiences with extraplanar forces, both celestial and infernal. Finally, for our trained skills, we'll pick up acrobatics, deception, diplomacy, occultism, society, and thievery. These skills aren't as important as the other skills in the build, but they round out the character to be a little bit more diverse. Hey, did you know that this video marks the end of our first year of videos on this channel? We had a goal of reaching 500 subscribers by the end of this year. We are less than 15 subscribers away from achieving the goal as time of recording, and with only 2 days left, I don't think we're going to make that goal. But you know what? We've been making videos for 8 months and have 486 subscribers at time of recording. I know channels that have been posting for twice that time with a fraction of the subscriber count that we have here at Time to Dice. In short, I'm extremely proud of what we've been able to grow here within the short time frame. We are so thankful for each and every one of you who clicked on a video and found me and my wife making a silly build guide and decided that we were compelling enough to keep coming back for more. So here's to another year of talking about Paizo's gift to the world. Alright, back to the video. We are a cleric, and that means our first choice is to which deity we draw our power from. Now, obviously Paizo has been a little bit slow to add Mephisto to an official book, so we'll have to do a bit of homebrewing to get a perfect fit. But if your GM is a stickler for the rules, or you're running a Pathfinder Society game, Asmodeus or Zonkuthan could work for a more approximate fit. For our Divine Font, Battle Harbinger gives us 4 spell slots every day that we can fill with Battle Aura spells. We are going to fill these with the Bane spell, inflicting a -1 status penalty to all attacks made within 10 feet of us. Consider this the aura of hellfire and destruction that surrounds you wherever you go. We also pick up the Ancestry feat, Natural Ambition, to acquire the Domain Initiate class feat, to pick up the Fire Domain, to pick up the Fire Domain spell, Fire Ray, to rain down hellfire on our opponents. Finally, level 1 cleric's claim to flame is their spellcasting, but as a Battle Harbinger, our spellcasting progression is replaced by the dreaded bounded spellcasting. That means throughout the entire game, we only have access to our highest 2 ranking spell slots, plus our cantrips. As a result, instead of covering all the spells as we get them, we will instead be covering all of our spells at the end of the build. We will, however, still be covering cantrips. Vitality Lash gives us a way to punish spirits and other creatures that would be harmed by vitality damage. Illuminate lets us light our head on fires, shedding light on the situation. Torturous Trauma seems like a spell that is right up Ghost Rider's alley, torturing someone within 30 feet to do a bit of bludgeoning damage and making them fatigued if they critically fail their fortitude save. Daze is like Baby's first penance stare, letting us inflict mental damage and possibly stun our enemies. And finally, Shield lets us form a Hellfire shield to block incoming attacks and reduce damage once per 10 minutes. We have to take the Battle Harbinger dedication at level 2, so that should come as no surprise, but it does get us access to the Toughness General feat and a free skill training of our choice. Watchers of this channel know how I feel about the Toughness feat, and know how I try to put it on every build, so being forced to take it here isn't much of a loss. We also get Intimidating Glare as our skill feat at this level. I trust I don't need to explain why the fiery Skullman from Hell doesn't need to say boo to be scary. At level 3, we pick up the Fast Recovery. Regeneration is actually one of Johnny's lesser known abilities. This feat isn't fully fledged regeneration, but it will help us shrug off injuries and get back into the fight / race / whatever situation the writer has cooked up for you this week. At level 4, we're going to take Intimidating Strike, letting us spend 2 actions to make a strike that frightens foes on a success. Usually, I'd argue that it's best to keep these actions separate so that you can still achieve something even if you fail a roll. But against foes with a high will save and low AC, this is probably the way to go. I'm looking at you, Charles Xavier. We also get Catball at this level, letting us do our own stunts without the need of a safety net. By level 5, we've had enough interaction with Hellfire to pick up the Ancestry feat, Nephilim's Resistance, giving us Fire Resistance 5 from any incoming attacks. Battle Harbinger's Lesser Creed kicks in at this level as well, giving us Expert in all martial weapons and applying our critical specialization to our deity's favored weapon. At level 6, we'll pick up the Bespell Strikes class feat, which enhances our chain attacks for 1 round after casting a spell. The extra damage is typically force damage, but it changes to match any damage type of the spell we just cast. Additionally, we pick up the Dirty Trick skill feat, allowing us to make a thievery check against the foe's reflex DC. On a success, the target becomes clumsy until they use an interact action to remove the condition. At level 7, we'll pick up the Die Hard feat to ensure that we survive at dying 5 rather than dying 4. Perfect for keeping the spirit of vengeance burning on through the night. At level 8, we get the Battle Harbinger feat, Tandem Onslaught. This allows us to sustain our battle aura the first time we hit a creature each round. Remember, your Bane aura doesn't actually need to be sustained, as its duration is a minute regardless, but when you do sustain it, you expand the aura to a diameter 20 feet wider. Seeing as hitting creatures is kind of our job anyways, free sustain on our battle aura basically means no one is going to be able to hit us. We also get Slippery Prey, helping us get out of an enemy's grapples. I don't know why the enemy thought it was a good idea to grab the guy whose entire body was on fire, but now it's just as bad of a choice as it looks. We've yet again reached level 9 as a human, and that means we pick up the multi-talented feat to pick up the Champion dedication. This gives us training in religion and our class's deity skill. We already had that. But we also get training up to medium armor, which we also already had. And we get training in Champion's Class DC and Champion spells, which we won't use for this build. Basically, this is a bit of a dead feat. But we have to bite the bullet here if we want to unlock any of the Champion's Class feat list later on. We also get our Moderate Creed at this level, boosting our will save proficiency to Master, as well as our successes with will saves to critical successes. At level 10, we finally get the Rider part of Ghost Rider, with the class feat Faithful Steed. Couple of things here. If we would have started with Champion, we could have gotten this mount well before now. In fact, we could have started the game with a bike. The problem is that Battle Harbinger is a class archetype, meaning there's no way of taking it as an archetype once you've picked something else as your main class. Personally, I love the flavor of the aura of smoke and flame around us at all time, preventing foes from getting clean shots in. But if you don't mind losing that, building this build in reverse lets you start with a mount and a more defensive chassis, while sprinkling in a little bit of spellcasting later. Also, if you're hesitant about reflavoring your steed as a motorcycle, you could always go with the Adventure archetype over the Champion archetype, with the Construct innovation. But I think the bike's limited sentience, and the fact that Ghost Rider can actually sometimes just ride horses, means the reflavoring route is just as valid of an option. We also get Fascinating Performance. At level 11, we pick up the Lasting Coercion. This extends the maximum duration you can coerce someone with a single check. You literally hold the keys to hell in your hands. You would think people would fall in line. Greater Creed also kicks in at this level, finally increasing our spell DCs to Expert. And Reflex Expertise increases our berry picking lore to Master. It's an important skill in some circumstances. At level 12, we also pick up the Loyal Warhorse class feat to give our bike a little bit of an upgrade. This feat also ensures that no one can ever mind control our bike to attack us. Not sure why anyone would choose to mind control our bike rather than mind controlling us, who could then control the bike, but, whatever works. We also pick up Terrified Retreat, which feels like it should have been an option before now, but better late than never. At level 13, we're going to pick up the Ancestry feat Devil's Advocate, giving us +2 circumstance bonus to identify devils, as well as the same bonus to our saving throws against any effects caused by devils. I think Johnny learned his lesson the first time, as best as can prepared when dealing with infernal matters. This level also gives us Divine Defense, boosting our armor proficiency to Expert, and our Major Creed, both increasing our Fortitude saves to Master, and upgrading our successful Fortitude saves to critical successes. At level 14, we get the Empowered Onslaught archetype feat, enhancing our battle aura and increasing the penalty to attack rolls that enemies suffer whenever we critically hit them. Additionally, the Terrified Resistance skill feat grants us a bonus to saving throws against foes that we have frightened us, making us even more menacing in battle. At level 15, we pick up Scared to Death. This feat allows us to potentially frighten enemies to the point of death with a critical intimidation check. I think you can agree this is a pretty fitting ability. Finally, the True Creed feature kicks in at this level, increasing our will saves to Master proficiency, solidifying our resolve against mental assailants. At level 16, the Aura Expertise class feat allows us to sustain our battle aura as a free action every turn, enabling it to expand endlessly without consuming any resource beyond time. We also pick up Battle Cry, granting us another free action to demoralize foes at the start of combat, ensuring our enemies feel the weight of Ghost Rider's fiery wrath. At level 17, we get the Bounce Back Ancestry feat. At level 18, we get Champion's Reaction, letting us punish attackers by forcing them to kneel in repentance or suffer devastating mental damage. Sounds like a penance stare to me. We also get the 2 Anchor to Die skill feat at this level, ensuring that when we rise from being knocked down, we do so with fury, delivering a free demoralize attempt to anyone in the nearby area, embodying Ghost Rider's terrifying resilience. At level 19, we get the Numb to Death feat, allowing us to ignore the sting of death and start regenerating when things get desperate. And our True Creed also kicks in at this level, boosting our armor proficiency to Master, making us even more resilient in the heart of battle. Just like Ghost Rider, finally, at level 20, we get the Imposing Destroyer feat, which not only enhances the battle prowess of Johnny's iconic bike, but also allows it to operate independently, ramping up its effectiveness in combat. Additionally, Intimidating Prowess further amplifies our terrifying presence, granting us a boost to our ability to install field on our enemies with our high strength attribute. Alright, now that we're done with the meat of the build, let's take a second and cover some of the spells we'll use to flesh out our Ghost Rider moveset. From the beginning, we will probably be using the Flint spell a lot, to do a basic chain attack with scaling damage. Blazing Armory kicks in at 3rd level as our 2nd rank spell, letting us conjure any weapon we can think of and do a little bit of fire damage with it. Whirling Scarves at rank 3 lets us spin our chain around for concealment, and 4th rank actually gives us 2 applicable spells. Phoenix Ward not only increases our fire resistance, but prevents us from being able to be knocked out by fire damage, and Anathematic Reprisal works well as a penance there, turning our foes' sins into mental damage. 5th rank also has 2 spells that fit Ghost Rider perfectly. Divine Immolation lets us call down Hellfire on our opponents, while Banishment lets us do our actual job and hunt down lost souls to return them to their rightful place. I don't really like any of the 6th rank spells, but at 7th rank we can pick up Regenerate for a bit of no action necessary healing. And finally, for our 9th rank spell, we can pick up Seize Soul, allowing us to trap opponent's soul in an item that we've prepared beforehand. Alright, let's talk pros and cons. First off, this build is hyper offensive. Coming out of the gate with full martial proficiency, Bespell strikes, and plenty of ways to intimidate foes to make their ACs even lower, foes are right to be terrified. And it's not like we're a defensive slouch either. We get up to Master and Medium Armor. Our Bane aura prevents foes from attacking us effectively, and when we do take damage, with the Divine Spell list to ensure that never really sticks. Oh yeah, and did I mention we kind of have a cool bike? Because we absolutely do. For cons, the build is kind of slow, and I don't mean that as movement speed, I mean it takes us to level 10 to get a mount. And from that point on, you're kind of playing catch up to get to the progression level of a normal character with their mount. You kind of stay a couple of steps behind. Not only that, the Battle Harbinger archetype is really good for a martial character, but bounded accuracy on our spell slots means we only really ever get 4 spell slots a day, which can leave you running on empty pretty quickly. And finally, our mount progression is awful. We max out at level 20 with Imposing Destrier to get a class feat that allows our mount to move on its own even when not commanded. That's an ability that most companions get at level 6, and it's our capstone feat. And we never get the benefits of Auspicious Mount, which most champions get at level 16, to turn their companions into an actual fiendish entity. But that's the video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you want to see next time, and see you next year.